Good morning. The markets are moving and so are you. From the BizNews studios in Hermanus, this is BizNews Daybreak for Wednesday, the 3rd of December. I'm Alec Hogg. Here's the context you need to win the day. While we were sleeping, Bitcoin was running, up 7.5% overnight. Bitcoin is now at $92,754. Great news for those who own the crypto, but not such good news for Eric Trump, as we'll find out in a little while. As far as the rest of the markets are concerned, well, it was a green day generally. NASDAQ up by 0.2% last night while we were sleeping. S&P 500 up about 0.25%. And of our favorite stocks, it was good to see that Palantir broke back above $170. It was up 2% last night. Google continues to firm, $315 on that one. Amazon's firmer. ASML, though, has been the real mover as far as the BizNews stocks are concerned in the past week. 11.75% up. It was up again by 2% last night. Generally, though, a green session. Apple in the past week, 2.75%. That was after another 1% gain last night. As far as the main news to come out of the United States is concerned, well, the Ukraine peace talks have concluded. Well, let's hope they're peace talks. And Michael Dell is doing something sensational. Let's hope that South African philanthropists and billionaires pick up the clue. Here's our partners at Bloomberg.
Talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff, along with Jared Kushner, have concluded at the Kremlin following nearly 5 hours. Now, these discussions were focused on a draft peace plan to end the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin called the talks productive, but no details have emerged so far. Here is Bloomberg's Eric Martin.
Of course, these have been fraught negotiations because as the pendulum swings to one side, as it swings more towards the priorities of Ukraine, it swings away from those of Russia, and we need to see some kind of a balance struck in the middle in order for this to move forward and for us to get a ceasefire, let alone a more comprehensive peace agreement.
That is Bloomberg's Eric Martin. Now, from the Ukrainian side, President Zelensky said he is waiting for the results of this meeting. The founder of Dell Technologies, Michael Dell, and his wife Susan are giving 25 million American children $250 each to jumpstart investment accounts for their futures. Dell's pledge is worth $6.25 billion, and it's part of the Invest America initiative, better known as Trump accounts, created earlier this year as part of the Big Beautiful Bill. Now, the government will deposit $1,000 into investment accounts for all children born between 2025 and 2028. Here is Michael Dell speaking earlier to Bloomberg.
We hope that, this, inspires them and gives them hope and opportunity and prosperity. I've spoken with a number of other philanthropists. I believe you'll see some other significant gifts, and we know many companies are going to match the government's contribution, as Dell Technologies is certainly doing, and a number of companies have already announced. So we're super excited about what this can become.
Michael Dell, they're the CEO of Dell Technologies. President Trump says he'll announce a new Fed chair early next year. More from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
Word came at a White House cabinet meeting in which the president repeated his criticism of Fed Chair Jay Powell.
Who should reduce rates? I saw even Jamie Dimon said he should be reducing rates. I never saw Jamie Dimon say that. I wonder why he said that. But he really said it because he's right. But we have a guy that's just a stubborn ox who probably doesn't like your president, your favorite president.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who has been overseeing the Fed chair selection process, previously said the pick could be revealed around Christmas. Over the weekend, the president told reporters he knew who he would nominate without offering further details. In New York, Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Radio.
Onto the U.S. markets in a little more detail now. Boeing was the best mover. And as mentioned earlier, not such good news for Eric Trump's Bitcoin play. Here's the team at Bloomberg.
Let's start with Boeing. This was some outperformance here in the S&P 500.
Yeah, it was the, top gainer today on the S&P. So it's Boeing, ticker BA. Shares were up 10% today. It's best day since April 9th. The company's CFO said that it expects to generate cash again in 2026, which is a reversal from what's expected this year, which is a cash burn of about $2 billion. So this just shows that sort of its longer term turnaround is sort of gaining traction, doing a little bit better. And this was also one of the first times I think this new CFO has been able to speak. He spoke today at an investor conference.
Yeah, pretty significant, right? Because they've been burning through cash in a significant way. So to see this turnaround is pretty significant.
Okay, now can we talk a little American Bitcoin?
You can do whatever you want, Tim Stenneman.
This was a wild opening to the day. This company saw its trading halted.
Yeah,
twice.
It was crazy. So this is ticker ABTC. Shares plunged 39%. A lot of volatility, halted, all of that. So what happened is basically they freed up restricted shares to be traded. So this is actually really common when we see stocks have a lockup period end. All of a sudden there's more liquidity. Some early investors.
So they drop almost 40%?
Well, 40% is a lot, but early investors want to maybe take some of their profits. More liquidity hits the market so that just more trading can happen. But this stock, it's been very beaten down. It's actually up about 9% on the year, but if you zoom out, it's fallen considerably over the last few years.
And it had that SPAC merger.
Right.
Wait, I don't remember if it was a SPAC or don't quote me on this.
Well, it merged with Griffin Digital Mining.
Yeah, and it did that back in September. Mm-hmm. So, the stock was sort of level until then.
Yeah.
And that's really where, American Bitcoin was created.
It is down 76% since early September.
This is where the unthinkable happened. They just came here and took his car.
No. I sold it to them. What's this?
It's crime scene tape. Did they pay you at least?
Within 15 minutes, money was in my account.
Were you happy with the number they brought you?
I got almost the same price of what I paid for the car. Everything was easy, everything was painless.
Well, there you have it, South Africa. With WeBuyCars, you won't come short. How tall are you really?
1.93.
WeBuyCars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
And in the local front, banking giant FirstRand is digging its heels in over the fight that it has with its UK subsidiary, with a regulator over there. In a voluntary trading update released late yesterday afternoon, the banking giant confirmed that it's still on track to deliver mid-high teens earnings for the full year. It says domestically here in South Africa, the picture's brightening. The two interest rate cuts in late 2025 have eased pressure on consumers, and they're also sparking a gradual recovery in retail lending. We're seeing that in prices of property in the major metros, even in the north of the country now. But the real headline is the group's combative stance on the UK Motor Commission scandal. FirstRand is arming itself with top legal counsel to challenge the UK regulators' what it calls disproportionate redress proposals. The bank argues that the FCA of Britain is applying rules retroactively to 2007 in a way that could wipe out years of industry profits. For now, FirstRand's keeping its financial provisions unchanged, but it warns that the current proposals need to materially change. Shareholders liked this fighting talk, and the share price was up almost 2% yesterday to take it to 9% year to date. Also, in a little bit of controversial area is Bidvest, and that share price was up 1% yesterday, but it's still down 13% for the year as a whole. And this after at the annual general meeting, shareholders told the chairman of the company and two non-executive directors to repay travel and hospitality expenses that they incurred during a visit to the Paris Olympics. The chair and directors had said that they were there representing the board, but and to do so because Bidvest sponsored Team South Africa. Shareholders got to vote on it, and they actually voted by a staggering 60% to 40% that the directors have to pay the money, pay back the money. Reminiscent, that one, isn't it? Thungela's share price was down yesterday, and that's still struggling, a 38.5% lower year to date. The coal company, though, had some very good news for shareholders. It squeezed a potential 700 million rand out of its dying Goedehoop North assets. This is a coal mine that has got a rapid rail loadout terminal, and that is what was the appeal for the UK-listed Bidvest PLC, because with Transnet going through so much trouble, so much difficulties, these kind of railings or side railings aren't being built anymore. So to have one at a mine is akin to finding gold dust. The mine itself, Goedehoop North, lost 111 million rand for Thungela last year. There's another 41 million rand that is in for the Department of Mining, where the company has to fix up the damage that is caused by mining. So the liability is enormous. That was taken over by Bidvest, which gives you an idea of how important it is now to actually have some kind of rail infrastructure. Thungela is going to get 50 million upfront with potentially another 650 million as earnouts into the future. And then finally, Exxaro dropped 1.25%, the share price on the day. It's still up somewhat for the year, up 8% year to date. And this despite some very good news, again in a trading update, this time for the 10 months to the end of October, where it announced that it's sitting on a massive 18 billion rand cash pile, and it's aggressively using that war chest to reshape its future. It's gone into renewables. It bought a wind farm and a solar facility, one in the Western Cape, the other in the Northern Cape, for about 1.8 billion rand from a Spanish multinational. And it's also moving into manganese in quite a big way. The traditional coal operations of Exxaro are coming under a little bit of pressure. On the one hand, coal prices are down from over $100 to $89 a ton. On the other hand, they are struggling to actually get the coal to market because of Transnet's performance, is particular in the Waterberg area where there's major blockages. There's a little bit of improvement on the Richards Bay line, but overall, there isn't a heck of a lot to really speak about. What was interesting, though, was that Exxaro flagged global volatility driven by the Trump effect. It's not often one hears executives of companies using reports to shareholders to talk about what's happening in geopolitics, but they do say that Donald Trump is being very disruptive to the world. Domestically, again, though, a brighter picture here after South Africa's removal from the grey list. Well, our deep dive today is with South Africa's favourite stockbroker, David Shapiro, who for half a century has been telling people what shares to buy and mostly making them a lot of money. But he himself has switched sides, or at least temporarily. He thinks that the best investment right now is not in shares, but in South African long-dated government debt. In other words, what they call bonds. He explains why.
Going yield to maturity and building in all the capital, getting to technical, but that's 9.5%. And I'm saying, hold on a sec, inflation 3%. We're certainly going to try and get it down to 3%. That gives you a 6.5% real return. Okay, you'll pay tax on it. If you pay 45% tax, right, it still goes down to about 5.5%, 6%. That's still a pretty good return. And that goes through to 2040. And it's tradable. You want to get out, you get out. I still am recommending it. I've just read a letter now that we're writing to a client and telling him to say, just this, you want to warehouse your cash, here's the way to go. And that's a very, very positive. You know where else is looking good, Alec? Are those property trusts. Growth Point was up 30% last year, and that's before the yield. Vukile, the same thing. So when rates start to come down, and we're seeing the market stabilize. I'm not a property man and I'm not a bond man, but they look attractive.
But Shapiro hasn't abandoned the share market completely. No. he's still very excited about the informal sector. And again, he gives us the reasons for this.
And I like that bottom end of the market, the fight between Shoprite and Capitec and Pepkor and everybody for that informal market. I think that's probably the most exciting place to be here.
Tell us more about Pepkor and why would Pepkor be a competitor to Capitec?
Because for the last few years, they've been focusing on the informal sector. And they've got this, they're going to start a bank. And they've already got this app or this product called Flash, where they're enabling those informal traders to convert that or giving them almost like tokens where they can go and spend it or save it or remit it. And they've been doing this for a long time, and it's suddenly becoming a major part of their business. And I always liked where they are. They are opening 25 stores a month now this year. I said, I didn't know we had so many cities or towns or villages. But from the early days of Rainer van Rooyen, when he used to have those pep stores, where the little kids would have those grey pants on and the white shirts and those black shoes and off to school. And it's always been something that I've loved. And I'm off to the game reserves, on the weekend, and I love to drive up, through Mpumalanga and everything. And there's always a pep store. You always see the pep stores and the cash bills and everything. Gives you such a great insight into what's driving this economy now.
That's all well and good, but what about the fears that are being expressed all over the world on a bubble in tech stocks, which David likes, and in particular, artificial intelligence cancers? Isn't this going to affect the stock market generally? And basically, David, isn't there a bubble?
Nah, this is not a bubble. .com was a bubble. Alec, you know that we've had, I think, a crisis every 2 years. From 9/11, the Iraq war, global financial crisis, debt crisis, China crashes, you name it. And that's just part of what markets are. You just have to adapt to these crises and work your way through it. So I don't lose sleep over these things. You've got to assess it. Is it? You know what worried me, and these signs were evident in the .com bubble. You knew things were mad because everybody was banging on your door, buy me this, buy me that. We're not in that mania yet. Do you know how big Nvidia is? Okay, I'm going to tell you some of my research. Okay, I've got a friend called ChatGPT, and I always ask him questions. There's a particular person there who knows me there at ChatGPT. So I said, tell me because I was fascinated by central bank buying of gold. So I said, what are the top 10 holdings? In other words, which central banks are buying? There are 10 central banks that have got massive reserves. America leads with 8,000 tons. So I said, okay, take those top 10, which is the Germanys and Chinas and everything. I said, and value their gold holdings at $4,000 an ounce. Do you know what it came to? Just over $3 trillion. Okay. All right. Maybe $3.5 trillion. What's the value of Nvidia? It's like $4.5 trillion. So the total gold holdings of the central bank, I don't know what's tucked under mattresses, or some old ladies keep a checkers bag with millions of coins in the top of their cupboards or something. I don't know that kind of hoarding, but the gold holdings, that's not a lot. So the gold market is actually very, very small. The whole UK market, the FTSE. Now, what's in the FTSE? Rio Tinto, Anglo American, BHP Billiton, Shell, you name it. You know how big that doesn't even equate to the market value of Nvidia. Nvidia is bigger than the UK market. So it gives you, why I'm identifying doing this, it just gives you the size and power of these businesses. Apple's $4 trillion. Then you've got the Alphabets, so they're huge businesses. They are mammoth businesses, and continue to generate a lot of cash, which gives them the muscle to keep ahead of the competition. They can spend developing new chips, spend new businesses, which is very difficult for up-and-coming businesses as well. And that's why I still like these businesses. They are so hugely powerful. And it makes America as well very, very strong. As much as you might despise or dislike Trump, this is America. And they just carry on, because in a few years' time, he's not going to be there.
You can catch that full interview on biznews.com/briefing. That's in what we call the director's cut. And now you have the edge. For the full interviews and the details behind these stories, head over to biznews.com. I'm Alec Hogg. Thank you for starting your morning with us. Now go and seize the day.